All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Xtreme Sports. We're glad to have everybody in tonight. It's been a minute since we've been on here. A lot of things have been happening in the world of sports. A lot of things have been happening in the world in general since the last time we've been on here. But we had to come on here and chop it up for the one time. NFL season starts tomorrow, September 9th, 2021. And it just feels so good to feel like we're actually going to have some normalcy this year. Just watching college football this past weekend, seeing the stadiums packed to capacity, it really felt like football was truly back. Not that we're not grateful for what the teams and the organizations and the programs gave us last year, but compared to last week felt like college football compared to what we saw last year with empty stadiums and noise being inserted in, and just posters of people that were just posted up in seats, just really uncommon, unnormal type of vibe. So feels good to feel like we're getting back to some normal times. But once again, I feel very responsible to have to remind everyone to please continue to wear your mask. I'm not here to push the vaccine agenda, but the pandemic is not over with yet, y'all. We still got a long way to go, and we still have to do the things that we have to do to take care of ourselves and help take care of each other. This Delta variant thing is not a joke. These hospitals are maximized to capacity right now. Beds are running low. And, just please don't take this for a game. Take this very seriously. I have jumped onto my Facebook page, and I have seen RIP posts every single day for the past week over somebody or somebody's relative or somebody's friend that has passed away from COVID-19 from contracting this variant. So please take this very serious, because we don't want this to be any of you, and we don't want this to be any of your loved ones either. So with that being said, got my good brother Lawrence Vaughn joining me in the building. Law, what's going on, bro?
Nothing much. Glad to be here. Appreciate it.
Most definitely. So, we're going to start off this NFL season preview by diving into the division that is home of what is now known as Tampa Bay, those Buccaneers. They kick off the season tomorrow against your beloved Dallas Cowboys. Around 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, NBC, the Peacock Network. So let's start off with the NFC South first. Who do you have winning the division, first of all?
For the South, I'm gonna say I got New Orleans, based just kind of like off of like process of elimination, basically. Like even though with all the turmoil that they have in New Orleans with their team alone, and prayers out to the city of New Orleans after Hurricane Ida, I still feel as if though they are I won't say a far superior team, but they have the necessary pieces to get it done. Jameis looks like, Jameis 2.0. So I don't know how that can turn out. Hopefully praying for the best. I just don't believe in Matt Ryan anymore. I feel like those days he's washed. I believe that Atlanta should have got a quarterback, and I feel like that they should have been, years ago taking steps to move on past him, so that at least if you get to this point, the blow isn't that bad. But now you're dealing with a blow where it's like, man, we're trying to get the last shining moments out of an aging quarterback, but they don't have the pieces around him to do that. Like the line is suspect. I'm not gonna say the receivers are suspect because Calvin really is a star, but me, it's easy to be a star as a number 2. Now it's time to be a star as a number 1. When in a shallow receiver room, we could easily see Calvin getting doubled all 16 games every day, like all throughout the whole game. It's not like, we got to go put somebody over top of Julio. I believe that Kyle Pitts is going to come in with a lot of pressure because it's like, bro, you're the highest tight end drafted ever. You people looking for him to get at least double-digit touchdowns. So I don't really believe in Atlanta. And we know what Carolina is. I do believe that Tampa Bay, however, can go further than New Orleans in terms of the playoffs, but in just terms of regular season, got to get there. I believe that that Super Bowl hangover will daunt over Tampa Bay, kind of as if like you see with NBA teams where it's like, all right, well, we're just ready for the postseason. And as long as we get in the postseason, we know ain't nobody touching us in there. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. But I wouldn't be surprised if Tampa like pulls it out because they did bring everybody back.
New Orleans answer, it definitely surprised me. I was not expecting you to go there on that one, considering all the turmoil that they have going on within the organization right now. And I will go ahead and preface and restate a point that you already made. We send our best and our thoughts and our prayers to the people in New Orleans, Louisiana, Mississippi, the Northeast, and anybody that was impacted by Hurricane Ida and any of Hurricane Ida's remains last week. We send you our best, and just know that you're going to get back and you're going to get through this. I'll touch on New Orleans in a minute because I definitely have Tampa winning this division this year. I'll touch on your Atlanta point in just a minute because we differ a little right there. When it comes down to Tampa in particular, they brought everybody back. I mean, they didn't lose anybody. And an offseason where we thought for sure Shaq Barrett was going to be gone, they were going to have to choose between him or Levante David. You didn't know if they were going to bring AB back. You didn't know what was going to happen with Chris Godwin. There were rumors out there that they might want to trade for Odell Beckham Jr. None of that stuff happened. They brought everybody back from last season, and they are the second team in the NFL right now that has 100% full COVID vaccinations, which means that they are coming in as one, and they are trying to do everything possible to put themselves in the best position to defend their crown. Of course, it's tough to say what a 44-year-old Tom Brady is going to come out and look like. But I've reached a point with Tom Brady where it's like, I'm not betting against you. I'm not saying anything against you anymore at this point because you are truly something that I have never seen before in my life, and I'm sure many other people would say that as well. I believe Tampa wins the division. I believe they're going to have a 13-4 record. The second best team I believe will have in this division are the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm going to say that they're going to go 9-8. I don't believe Matt Ryan is completely washed, but I will say this about Calvin Ridley. The pressure is on him now to prove that he is that guy after they traded Julio Jones away. He had been the number one receiver in the organization basically for a decade. He took the reins from Roddy White, but the difference is he took the reins from Roddy White when Roddy White was still in the organization. You knew by year two that Julio was a better player than Roddy White, especially at that position. So we'll have to see what happens there. Of course, my biggest questions with them, number one, you got a new head coach. He's offensive-centric, and that's why I want to see how he's going to try to maximize whatever is left with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's had 10 straight seasons of at least throwing for 4,000 yards, but he had a lot of help along the way with that too. Julio Jones, Roddy White, Tony Gonzalez, Calvin Ridley's been a part of it. Mohamed Sanu was there for it. You know, he's had a lot of help along the way, so we'll just have to see how this is going to continue to play out. I believe the pressure is on Kyle Pitts, but it does help that Hayden Hurst is still there too. And Hayden Hurst is not to be slept on. I don't believe he's one of the top 5 premier tight ends in the league by any stretch, but he can make plays and he can get some things done. He made some good plays for Atlanta, and he made some strides for them last year too. So I'm curious to see what that 2-man tight end set's going to look like. My 2 biggest concerns when it comes to Atlanta, are you going to be able to run the ball, and what in the hell is your defense going to look like? Those are the 2 biggest questions I have. Right now, the number 1 running back on the depth chart is a 28-year-old Mike Davis. I have never liked my running backs going in around that age because that's when they start to fall off, truly. Defensively, you got Grady Jarrett, you got Deion Jones, and we'll see what A.J. Terrell is. I can't say anything for anybody else on that defense right now because there's a lot of unproven commodities. But because this is a division that seems to be rebuilding right now outside of Tampa Bay, I believe they'll have a chance to get some things done this year. Won't be a playoff team, but they will come close to knocking on the door. I got them at 9-8. My number 3 team, this one's going to surprise you. I got the Panthers finishing better than New Orleans because I see Sam Darnold finally having a chance with a more than above average offensive line. He's got good weapons coming into Carolina, trustworthy receiving corps that he never had with the Jets. Christian McCaffrey is back and he's healthy. And even though this defense is still rebuilding, I saw some things out of those guys last year that I did like, and I think they take a step in year 2 together with head coach Matt Rule and offensive coordinator Joe Brady on the offensive side of the football as well. Remember, Carolina, they had a lot of games last year, despite their record. They could have won a lot of those games. They could have easily been in the playoff hunt. And I see that going a little more in their favor this year. I don't have them as a playoff team, but I have them as 8-9. And I have completely fallen off of the New Orleans Saints at this point because I originally had them finishing second in this division, maybe 9-10 wins, sneaking in a playoff berth. I got the Saints falling all the way at this point to 5-12. There is a lot of turmoil in that organization right now. And as much as I want to see Jameis Winston come out and do great things, we're asking a lot of him right now. Let's just take this into consideration. You won't have Michael Thomas at the start of the season. You lost Jared Cook in the offseason. The team just released Latavius Murray yesterday or this morning. So who's he throwing the football to? It's going to be a lot of him and Alvin Kamara that they're going to be depending on right there. So it's not really the play-centric offense that it has been for the past few years by any stretch. And when Michael Thomas comes back, how is he going to fit in that offense? And I say that because he and Sean Payton, they've had their troubles going back and forth for the past year and a half now too. And I don't trust the defense going forward because those guys are getting older. Malcolm Jenkins, Cam Jordan, they're getting older. Marcus Lattimore, you don't know how trustworthy he's going to be with some of his off-the-field stuff. I won't call them issues. I'll just say that it's been a distraction because it has been. And listen, I don't like to use this as an example, but I feel like I have to. Ida and what Ida did to New Orleans, I think that might set them back a little bit because they already don't get to play week 1 at home. So they're already displaced right now. They should be back for their next home game, I believe. But, man, it's tough. I mean, and I'm sure Sunday they're going to come out and they're going to play with the heart of the city against the Packers when they'll be playing in Jacksonville and what is supposed to be a home game for them. But I believe the Packers are going to eke that victory out from them. But they're going to play hard. But I think it's in for a long season for New Orleans in their first season without Drew Brees since 2006.
Let me ask you something. Where do you rank Tampa Bay's receiving core opposed to where do you rank Alvin Kamara as a running back in the league?
So I got Tampa because they are the champions and because they are tried, true, and proven at this point. I have them at number 1 over 3 other courts indeed. I like what Dallas has with Amari, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb. Blake Jarwin's coming back, and nobody's talking about that. Blake Jarwin was supposed to be a premier tight end in the league last season before he went down with that torn ACL. So I'm curious to see what he's going to look like coming back. I like what the Minnesota Vikings have. Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson. You know, they lost their longtime tight end in the offseason to the New York Giants, but I'm curious to see what they're going to do right there as well. And I really like what the Tennessee Titans now have with Julio and A.J. Brown. Now, they lost Jonnu Smith in the offseason, but I believe Julio alone will be able to make up for that production by himself. But I got Tampa's receiving corps ranked as number 1 because, man, you just talk about Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. You finally going to get a full season of AB. AB got to actually have a training camp with the team, preseason with the team. Now, nobody had a preseason last year because of COVID, but you got a full offseason of AB. Gronk is back. I don't know how much more he's got left in the tank, but he can still at least be a red zone threat and a good blocking tight end. O.J. Howard is back. Nobody's talking about that. And O.J. Howard was going to be a big problem in that offense last season too. And they also still have Cameron Brate. So
yeah,
they got a lot of weapons right there. But I left one receiving corps out too. I left the Cleveland Browns out, and I didn't mean to do that because you got Odell coming back. I'm curious to see how that's going to work because Last time we saw him and Baker together, Baker was trying to force him the ball. But maybe now that the teams had some form of success, at least making it to the playoffs, maybe Baker's not going to feel so pressured to have to force Odell the ball. Can't sleep on Jarvis. You got Austin Hooper in there. You got that two running back tandem of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Those are two great receiving backs. You've also got David Njoku coming back. I'm skeptical on him, though, because he's been injured for the past 2 years. So now I need you to prove that you can stay out there on the field. But I still got Tampa's receiving corps ranked at number 1. As far as Alvin Kamara as a running back, because of what he did last season and because I do believe he has the total package, I have him in my top 5. I have him behind, in no particular order, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, and I'll actually put Kamara right there at number 4 because I was going to say Saquon Barkley, but Saquon missed basically a whole season last year. Got to see what he's going to come back and look like.
Agreed. And the reason I asked you that is because although it didn't take much convincing, I do want to change my pick. I do have Tampa Bay simply because although we can agree that Alvin is a top-tier back, I don't believe with things that you said, and I while you were giving your division picks, I looked up some stuff on Mike Thomas, and they were saying that he could be out like this first half of the season. Like, I mean, he won't see playing time until 2022, and I just believe that could be too deep of a hole when you take into account what Hurricane Ida did to them. It's kind of like they're living out of a suitcase, basically, and I just feel like, okay, we trying to implement Jameis into a new system. You need that home field advantage. You need to be able to get to the training center. You need to be able to get inside the dome, relax, be comfortable, and not feel like, all right, we sitting in the bus and I'm talking to you through an aisle to learn these plays. And I feel that way for any like high school, college, and the pros. Like, I don't feel like that's a formula for success. So I do want to change my pick to Tampa Bay. However, I feel like if we just look at best case scenario, best case scenarios across the board, everybody in each respective position just balls out. I believe New Orleans can at least give a dogfight effort, if not to win a division, at least to make it competitive for a playoff spot. Because if Alvin is that guy who we're both saying he is, there's no reason why you can't say, let's say you have 1,500 yards, 2,000 yards, if you really about it. And that's something that, we talk about all the time in the group message. If, guys love to talk like they're really that guy. But as we've seen with Derrick Henry this past year, only a select few guys are really about that action where it's like, all right, I'm not going to talk on social media. I'm just going to go out here and get 2,000 yards. I'm going to will my team to the playoffs. And it's interesting because you have a running back like Christian McCaffrey, you have a running back like Alvin, who are more like scat back type dudes, but their numbers are so daunting that you can't ignore them as just top overall backs. But when it gets down to, them dog months of the season, they're not as effective as, them spring chicken legs when the season first starts.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. And, a lot of his success individually and what he's able to bring to the team is also going to be incumbent upon what that offensive line looks like. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I'm currently going to keep things standing where I currently have them with that division. I have Tampa winning the division crown for this year. Atlanta finishing second. Carolina as a surprise team at third. And New Orleans as a surprise team at fourth. Now let's move on to the NFC East. A lot of people have called this the NFC least for the past few years. I think they're finally going to start to get out of that shadow. You got some really strong defenses playing in that division and at least one dynamic offense, I should say, in the Dallas Cowboys. And as far as the Philadelphia Eagles go, I don't know what the hell they are. I'm not even going to try to pretend like I know what the hell they are. So I'll just start off by saying I have Dallas winning this division with a 10-7 record, just simply because the Cowboys, they have a couple of vaccine issues as well, I believe. Everybody's not 100% vaccinated. And like I said, I'm not here to push the vaccine agenda, but it is what it is at this point. If you're not vaccinated and you're out there on the field And if you end up contracting the virus, you're going to be asked to sit out for multiple games for a few weeks. And we already see it. Zach Martin's not playing tomorrow. And as much respect as we both have for Tyron Smith, I believe we would both say at this point Zach Martin is the best offensive lineman on the Dallas Cowboys. So
yeah, I agree. I agree with that statement. Can't deny that.
So you got Zeke coming back. Zeke looks to be in phenomenal shape. My only concern is that the body's already had the wear and tear with all the carries over the years. Dak is coming back. He says he's 100%. I really do truly hope he is 100%. You got that dynamic receiving core. I really think CeeDee Lamb is going to take a big step this year. If not a top 10 receiver in the league, definitely a top 12. A lot of good receivers in the league. So it's kind of hard to say who he's going to leapfrog into that top 10 over right now. Defensively, I don't know what I'm going to get, but DeMarcus Lawrence seems to be refocused. I like that. I really like Micah Parsons. I like Micah Parsons' energy. I like the leadership that he's already bringing to this defense, and he hasn't played a single snap of regular season football yet. But if you watched him on Hard Knocks, you're just like, damn, this is exactly what Dallas is needed. Somebody who is fired up, ready to play. I know you saw the episode 1. They're in the preseason game. Dan Quinn, the defensive coordinator of the team, tells him, all right, yeah, you're out for the rest of the night because he's a starter. Starters don't play a lot in the preseason, especially in the first preseason game. And he was upset about the fact that he did not get to go in there and play any more snaps that night. You need somebody on your team like that, somebody who wants to continue to go out there, get after it, get better, all of those things. So I got Dallas at 10-7 winning the division. Number 2, I got the Washington football team. They're going to finish tied at 10-7. But I believe Dallas is going to win more division games than they are, maybe just by 1. I can't give Washington the edge despite all these defensive playmakers they have because they have a chance to have a defensive line that is the fearsome 4 from hell. They truly do. But I can't give them the edge just simply because I don't trust Ryan Fitzpatrick. I've never trust Ryan Fitzpatrick. And Ryan Fitzpatrick has done enough over the years, multiple times, for me to say he just is not that guy. I saw this in Buffalo. I saw this with the Jets. I saw this with the Dolphins. I'm going to see it again with the Washington football team. That's no disrespect to him. It's just when I've seen something multiple times, it just is what it is. Yeah. But 10-7, if they still finish 10-7, they still have a chance to get into the playoffs. And Ron Rivera is doing a good job of cleaning up the mess that this organization truly is behind closed doors with Dan Snyder running the show. Number 3, I got the New York Giants. I got them going 7-10. I don't trust Daniel Jones. Ultimately, I think the Giants are going to have to look into getting another quarterback. There's a bad man in Green Bay who will more than likely be available after this season is over with. I believe they need to try to put all of their ducks in a row to try to acquire him. But I like Joe Judge a little more as a coach than most people do. I don't believe you trust him that much either. I just like how he's come in and he's cleaned up something. He's at least built a football culture in New York that they haven't had since Tom Coughlin was there. Saquon's coming back. And depending on how he comes back, that's going to play a huge role in them getting these 7 wins. They did do a good job in the offseason of acquiring more weapons. Kyle Rudolph, they're going to have to be dependent upon him because Evan Ingram is just a walking Band-Aid at this point. And that's no disrespect to him, but he suffered an injury again in the preseason. Not a major injury, but it's still an injury nonetheless. And that's what he's more known for in his NFL career at this point than anything that he's done out there on the field, production-wise. Kenny Golladay, that's a nice pickup for them as well. I want to see if Sterling Shepard can finally prove himself to be that true number 1 receiver that they thought he was when they traded Odell a couple of years ago. And I really like their defense. But I still got them going 7-10 just simply because I don't trust their quarterback. Philly, 3-14. I wish Jalen Hurts all the best. I don't know what their team is. And I'll just leave it at that.
Well, for me, I believe that we agree on the order. except I have Dallas actually winning 11 games, and I have Washington only winning 9 games, simply because of the reason that you stated, Fitzpatrick. I'm not going to really go too deep into Dallas because I feel like, I mean, everything is there to, like, you know, for the cases to be. I feel like there are plenty of years that you can look back over the decades and be like, wow, if you just go based off paper, Dallas would have won the NFC East about 4 or 5 times in a row if you just go strictly on paper. But we all know there's more to the game than just what's on paper. So, yeah, Dak is 100%. It's time to get it done for all these boys. Like, honestly, you got people that want to get paid. You got people who try to make a mark. I'm not sure if Mike Gallup is his contract's up this year, but I know it's up within these next 2 years. Bro, this is where it starts. Like, if you want to get paid and cashed out, this is where it starts. You have to be consistent, even knowing that you're probably third on the leaderboard in terms of who's getting looks. We know Amari gonna get his. We know CD coming for his. You're probably, but when there's few opportunities you get, you got to make the most of them. I'm just really concerned about the defense, but I do believe that Dan Quinn is in a survival mode. Like, bro, you really fumbled the bag in Atlanta. People hyped you up and you let it fall, especially in the Super Bowl. So I feel like sometimes coordinators should just be coordinators. And when you take on being a head coach, people don't realize that comes with so much more responsibility than just, oh, yeah, I'm just going to call it defense or I'm just going to call it offense. So maybe taking a step back and being able to get all his ducks in a row will be able to let him focus in on what he's really good at. So back to Washington, I just don't, man, as great as their defense is, as great as our front four can be, shout out to Montez Sweat. If you see this episode, people don't give you your just due because Chase Young gets a lot of credit, but just know you are a baller. I don't believe in their DBs. Like, I don't believe in their DBs. I believe that their DBs are good enough because the front four gets excellent pressure. So it allows them to have errors in the back because Chase and Montez are in the backfield in 2 seconds. So even if, say, Odell, Julio, whatever, Mike Evans burns somebody, the quarterback doesn't have time to get it to him. I don't believe in their wide receiver room. Anybody outside of Terry is questionable. Like, questionable is like, should you even be in the league? So, yeah, they have Curtis Samuels, I believe. But, you know, it's iffy. So, for the Giants, same thing I talked about with Calvin Ridley. It's the same thing Sterling Shepard's been battling. And it's kind of like, it's easy to stand out and put up good numbers when you have a star receiver on the other side of the field from you. Like, we got to focus on him, so you're only getting a single coverage. Yeah, Saquon's back, but the talk around town is, how healthy is he? Like, yeah, he's cleared. He's healthy enough to be out there in contact practice, but from what I'm hearing, he's 65, 75%. He's not a full 100%. And without how atrocious their line is, I feel like New York has to think long term. Do we want to risk Saquon right now for what? A chance to compete in the division? Or do we want to save him until he's fully healthy? And let's say, for conversation's sake, Spencer Rattler is who people think he is. We can get Spencer in here next year with Saquon, and who knows what wide receivers hit the market next year. Then we can fully compete. So, you know, I feel like you really have to weigh your options in terms of what your end goal is. And you have to be a realist with yourself as a team and as an organization. And then we both agreed, like, we don't know what Philly doing. I just lost all respect for them when they choked that game last year just so New York couldn't get in the playoffs. Like, win, lose, draw, bro, your objective should be to win. So when I saw them choke that, just like, yeah, they don't know what they're doing. I feel like that trade for Gardner Minshew, that told me that they don't have full confidence that Jalen can make it through a full season. So they brought in a backup just in case Jalen goes down. And if that's what you're thinking, it's kind of like, well, do you believe in Jalen? Because if you don't believe in Jalen, I mean, hey, their first round pick, not Devontae, what's his name?
No, it's
Smith.
Devontae Smith.
Okay, Devontae Smith, yeah. Love the kid. Great guy. Heisman winner, all that kind of stuff. Is he gonna be able to last? Like, he's already getting hurt now, and we ain't even started. So my thing is just, as great of a talent as you are, will you be able to hold up? Because you're not going against like them 4'11" college freshmen anymore, dog. You're going against a grown man who this is how I provide for my family. This is how I put food on the table. And you gotta believe, if people like Josh Norman and Richard Sherman still getting contracts, it's to put food on the table at home. And they're not gonna let a rookie come in here and embarrass them. You have to take it. So I got faith in him. Don't get me wrong. But I don't feel like Philadelphia has enough support around him to where he can stand out and make a difference.
Yeah, I agree with that because I definitely have faith in him. I'm definitely rooting for him to do well. But football is more than a one-man sport, or it's at least more than just relying on one man to completely get the job done. Let's go now to the NFC North. I got the Packers winning this division. I got them going 11-6. This will be followed up by the Chicago Bears at 9-8. I think at some point we will see Justin Fields. I don't believe the red rifle thing is going to last very long. There with Andy Dalton. And I believe the Bears are underrated coming in here. And I believe if you finally give Matt Nagy that quarterback he needs to help him get the job done, I think he will prove that he is one of the top tier coaches in the league. I got the Minnesota Vikings finishing third. I don't have any faith in Kirk Cousins at all. I don't believe the Vikings have any faith in Kirk Cousins. If they did, they would not have drafted Kellen Mond. So he was definitely drafted there to replace Kirk Cousins, and I think they'd honestly move off of him right now if his contract wasn't so atrocious. And I also don't know what to make of this defense anymore now. It's not the defense it once was. And Mike Zimmer is definitely on the hot seat. The Detroit Lions, yeah, they're finishing fourth. I don't have any belief in Dan Campbell as a coach. I don't know what to make out of Jared Goff truly in this system. Panay Sewell, like that's who we're watching. We're watching him to see if he is truly that left tackle that everybody says that he was going into the draft. Other than that, I'm not watching Detroit for any other reason. So I got the Packers going 11-6. I got the Bears at 9-8. I got the Vikings at 7-10, and I got the Lions at 4-13.
So I feel like this is gonna be our first I feel like this is gonna be our first disagreement, because I have Minnesota winning this division. I got Minnesota winning this division based off, and with Matthew Craig here, since he's gonna love this, I feel like Justin Jefferson is gonna take a leap. Although he hasn't proven to me yet, I feel like he's primed to make a leap. You mentioned Kirk Cousins. I feel like he knows, or at least the whispers got to be going around that, buddy, this may not be the last straw, but the barrel getting thin, and this will be one of the calling cards we look back on to say, bro, you didn't have it, you don't have it when we move on from you. Like we talked about, Dalvin, top tier running back, so I don't have no issues there. I feel like the defense is still stout, but I feel like the thing with stout defenses in the NFL, some years they might be off for various reasons, but they're able to bounce back that next year. Kind of like Chicago, for example. They still have a good defense, but there were just certain gap plays that would make it look like, bro, is this the same defense that we know, like with Khalil Mack and them boys? Doesn't mean they're not a good D. Like, let's look at Eric Kendricks. I think that's the linebacker's name from UCLA. And What's the other one? Anthony Barr. Woo! Killer.
They
So
also they also just paid Harrison Smith and made him the highest paid safety in the NFL.
yeah, yes. They still I feel like they have a great like middle of the pack defense. No, it's not. You know when you name the top defense in the league, no, it's not them. But I do see them as a defense that you put them in the them dog days like I mentioned, and they can still come out with a win for you. So I'm interested for that. Tell me if I'm wrong. They got Pat Pete. They picked up Patrick Peterson.
Yes, they did.
Okay, yeah. So I feel like he could come in and look. I've always thought he was overrated, to be honest. But hey, maybe this will be the time to where it's like, all right, look, he's been in the league what 8-9 years now. Like, look, bro, I could see him taking on that kind of like veteran Joe Hayden effect, like Joe Hayden had for Pittsburgh, towards like, yeah, I'm an older guy, but what I know, I can teach the younger guys, and together we can be a collective unit. So I got Minnesota winning, and the reason I have Minnesota winning is because I don't believe Aaron Rodgers is bought in for this Green Bay season. I believe he's just there to get this year over with. And Shake, I saw today that Devontae Adams has like killed off all negotiation talks, like his long-term negotiation. So I feel like they like, look, bro, we're gonna play this last year out and we up out of here. Like, for the reasons that Stephen A had mentioned months ago, that you can't treat people any kind of way and expect them still to go to war for you. You can't be disrespectful. They just really disregarded Aaron and his wishes. And yet, time and time again, Aaron's delivered for them. Like, man's coming off the MVP. So I got Green Bay coming in second. And for the reason is because they refuse to get him help. Like, and if I'm wrong and Green Bay does, that's just embarrassing. Green Bay does win the division. I feel like that's just embarrassing to the rest of the division and the league, because it's like all Aaron has to throw to is Devontae. Everybody else is, I won't say are scrubs, but they're scrubs. And it's just kind of like, the ball going to Devontae. It's going to Devontae red zone. These are just things you should know. Kind of like, but when you wake up and you get ready for your day, to brush your teeth. When you lay down or before you go to bed after you eat, you brush your teeth again. These are just things you know. Chicago, I got in third. I'm predicting around week 5, Justin Field takes over. Now, if that doesn't happen, that means Andy is showing us stuff that we haven't seen since Cincinnati, which I would be highly disappointed in, because he had the same opportunity in Dallas and he didn't want to show anything. But hey, you got to do what you got to do to keep yourself relevant. So, hey, more power to you. And lastly, I got Detroit. At this point, they should just move to St. Louis and become the Rams again, because ain't nothing happening to Detroit. Like, there are certain franchises that have such rich history that are just a shell of themselves now, that it's kind of like, y'all should be ashamed. Like, y'all should be ashamed. Rodgers should come have a sit-down meeting with y'all. And what's the issue? Because I don't understand how you let your top wide receiver just walk in free agency. I don't get that. But, they might understand it.
Well, it goes beyond that for me with Detroit. Nothing has gone well with this organization since they fired Jim Caldwell when he went 9-7. And even though he didn't make the playoffs, he went 9-7, had a winning record with a football team that honestly was not the caliber of being a 9-7 football team. And when I just listen to Dan Campbell talking these press conferences, I'm just like, no, pass, hard pass, no thank you, not interested. So, I mean, I understand your points where you're going there with Minnesota. And, hey, listen, some pressure either will burst pipes or it will form diamonds. So we will see if the pipes of Kirk Cousins is going to bust, or we're going to see the best version of him that we've seen yet. Of course, Dalvin Cook is a top-tier back in the league, as we both noted earlier. And I forgot all about the Patrick Peterson signing. It's not swaying my decision on them, just simply because I don't know how much more he has left in the tank. And the other secondary members besides him and Harrison Smith, I don't really know what they have right now. I have to watch it first to really give it a true assessment. But just going based off of what I believe now, I'm still going to have them finish third. And I just have a little bit more faith that the Bears will finish ahead of them, just simply because I think the defense is going to come out and play with a little more juice than they did last season. Because if Andy Dalton comes out and plays well, they're going to come out and they're going to play hard for him. If he doesn't, eventually Justin's going to be inserted. And we all know that that's who the whole city wants right now in there anyway. So I believe the defense will play with some juice. And I also believe that this is the year that Khalil Mack will come out and remind everybody just of who he is. He fell off a little last year, but I think he's going to come out and he's going to remind people that he is that guy and he is one of the top 10 defensive players in the league when he is good to go. Now let's go to the NFC West. I'm going to pick the Los Angeles Rams to win this division. I got them going 12-5. I know they lost some key pieces on defense, but you still have Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey out there. And Matthew Stafford, for the first time in his career, he is with a capable, a functional organization that is not going to sabotage things. Sean McVay, one of the top 5 coaches in the league, in my opinion. And the Sony Michel trade really is what still has me going here, because they lost Cam Akers, unfortunately, to a torn Achilles injury. Wishing all the best and a speedy recovery to him. But Sony Michel is a very capable back when he's healthy. He's not a top-tier back in the league by any stretch, but he's a B to a B-plus running back that can help you get the job done. So I have them finishing number 1, and that's just simply because it's too much noise coming out of Seattle for me. And I don't know what's going on in San Francisco. I'm going to pick Seattle to edge out San Francisco for the number 2 spot in that division, going 10-7. Russell Wilson is still Russell Wilson. He's got DK Metcalf. He's got Tyler Lockett. I like Gerald Everett. That's an underrated tight end that they picked up in the offseason. He didn't get the time to shine in L.A. just simply because Higbee was more that guy, and they just would not feature him enough in that offense. They finally got Dwayne Brown's contract resolved, at least for right now. But Quandre Diggs wants a new contract. There's noise coming out of there. And I also don't think it's the last time this season we're going to hear any noise from Jamal Adams, just simply because I think he's a noise-centric guy. And this is the type of locker room that Pete Carroll runs, but it's still a very talented team nonetheless. So they will compete, and I got them at 10-7. I got the Niners going 9-8. I think their defense is going to be just fine. Nick Bosa is going to come back, and he's going to remind everybody that he's one of the elite pass rushers in the game, coming back off of an injury. Fred Warner, right there with Roquan Smith of the Bears from me, for most underrated linebacker in the game. You don't hear his name a lot, even though he was voted amongst those top-tier players on the NFL Network's top 100 players in the league. I'm just saying, casually, conversation-wise, you don't hear people automatically go, Fred Warner as one of the top names at linebacker in the league. He's a true playmaker. But offensively, we still don't know who's starting at quarterback. And they play on Sunday. We don't even know who their starting quarterback is going to be yet. I don't know what to make out of Jimmy, truthfully. I know that there were times in the preseason he honestly did not look good. There were third-string quarterbacks on other teams that were outplaying him. And I can't say that I know for a fact that Trey Lance is ready yet. But I do know that he was drafted to be the future of that organization. And number 4, sorry, Charlie, but I got the Arizona Cardinals going 6-11. Through no fault of Kyler Murray or DeAndre Hopkins or J.J. Watt's own, I don't believe in Cliff Kingsbury. I don't believe in him at all. And I think that they will be looking for a new head coach after this season is over with. So there you have it for me for the NFC West. Got the Rams going 11-6. No, I got them going 12-5. I said 12-5. Got the Seahawks going 10-7. Got the Niners going 8-9, and I got the Cardinals going 6-11.
Okay. Okay. So I think that this is honestly one of the hardest divisions in football. And this is where I'm going to start to have some hot takes. So I believe I'm going to go with Seattle. I'm going to go with Seattle at 11-6. I agree with what you're saying, especially about Jamal. I mean, if there was a definition of diva, it's Jamal. But he's a baller. It's hard to describe it, but it's just kind of like he makes plays. He's a sure tackler. I'll say that. He's a sure tackler. And although he may not be the fastest, although he may not be the most skilled, I could confidently say if there's an instance where, say, Lamar or anybody breaks a run, if I see Jamal breaking downhill on him, I feel confident Jamal's going to make that tackle. I don't think Jamal, that's going to be a broken tackle. I believe Bobby's still got plenty in the take. I need to see DK take that next step, though. I really need to see DK take that next step. I think that the reason why I'm picking Seattle to win is because this is how I'm envisioning Russell apologizing to Seattle for them trade rumors. Yeah, I know I had all that kind of stuff out for the offseason. Let me show y'all I'm here to, I'm serious about my business. So I thought they go come out on fire. Coming in second, I got Arizona. Because I believe in K1. Every other year, he's only had one, if that, go-to receiver in Hop these last couple of years. Now he got AJ Green on the other side. And of course, when I say this, that they're biased, but on their YouTube channel, they've been documenting things throughout the offseason and into the preseason. AJ looked healthy. AJ looked the healthiest he's been in quite some time. So I'm looking for AJ to come out and be a legit number 2. I don't know how well he's going to accept that, and I don't know how well they're going to be able to, pass that back off. But if AJ can accept that role of being a number 2, that can be dangerous. Now the running game is shaky, and I don't believe that J.J. Watt is a J.J. Watt of old. But the same difference that I said that for Washington, that their front four is so dangerous that the back end is able to make mistakes, I feel like it's the opposite for Arizona in terms of their back end is so good with Buda Baker and who's that other safety from Washington?
Further, I'm going to say this right now. In my eyes, Buda Baker right now is the best safety in the NFL.
I wouldn't argue that. And so I feel like that gives their front four some leniency. It's like, all right, y'all don't have to get their ass quick because we got things covered on this back end, the back here. Third, I have the Rams. And the reason I have the Rams third is because, look, although Matthew is a great quarterback, and we know the arm strength has been there since his Georgia days, you just have to come show me. You're just going to show me. I don't know. Cooper Kupp is a full year removed, but usually they say it's that second year after a major knee injury where you start to get your stride back. So I'll be interested to see what Cooper Kupp does. Robert Woods doesn't really have that much success as a pure number 2. A lot of Robert's success comes when he's in the slot or, he's the fourth receiver. So, they're kind of small, but like you're saying, in Sean McVay's system, when they're moving fast, they're moving. Their defense is elite. I don't have any worries over there on that side of things, but we both know at some point in some games, your offense is going to have to go put up some points. And I have the 49ers coming in last. Not necessarily, I don't think they'll have a like below 500 record, but for the point that you mentioned, like they play Sunday and they haven't even named their starting quarterback yet. So I'm just not sure of that. And I don't believe in their back end on their defense, man. If I'm being completely honest, like, yeah, Nick's back from his injury, but it's kind of like that's one man. Is he supposed to, get the sack and get the interception?
He's one of those defensive linemen that I would say has the athleticism and has the agility to be able to do so, but he's also coming off of a serious injury. So I am taking that into account as well. And I mean, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion to think that they could finish with the worst record in the division either, because clearly there's a quarterback controversy going on over there. And until Jimmy G is officially out of the room, that issue is not going to be resolved. And like I said, going based off of what I saw in the preseason, in particular against the Chargers, I don't know what to expect from him. It also doesn't help that they lost Jalen Hurd today to a knee injury. And he could have a stint on IR. Just wishing him all the best. Injuries just seem to be plaguing him in what was supposed to be a very promising career. Now let's move over to the AFC side. We're going to start off in the AFC South. I have the Tennessee Titans winning this division at 11-6. I got the Colts coming in second at 10-7. I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. And this was a very hard pick for me, these last two teams here, because I think they're both going to be flat out awful. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars will go 5-12. Trevor Lawrence is going to be good enough to at least win some of these games against some of these bad teams. And he does have some decent receivers to work with. Other than that, the team doesn't really have much. They have James Robinson at running back as well. That helps. And I got the Houston Texans finishing 2-15. And I don't even know where these two wins are going to come from yet. But just simply because I don't believe they're bad enough to be 0-17 necessarily, I got them going 2-15. And I just hope for the sake of David Culley, this doesn't end up being Steve Wilkes 2.0, where you're brought into a job because you were basically the last choice for a team to get to choose upon. And then because the roster and the personnel that you have to work with don't perform up to standard, you end up losing your job and they end up bringing somebody else in the very next year. I hope for his sake that this doesn't happen and they give the team a chance to build around him for at least a good 2 to 3 years. But I fear that this could be a one-and-done year for him. And I don't understand why Deshaun Watson is on the 53-man roster if he's not going to play. You talk about something that is a big distraction. Like, if he's not going to play, is he going to be on the sideline? Or are you just going to have him completely away from the team while there's gameplay action going on? Because if you have him on the sideline, that's also going to be another distraction as well. It's a mess down there right now. And I don't even know how I'm giving them 2 wins, but I am. But I do believe that they are going to be the worst team in the NFL this year, bar none.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, I'm going as far. I got to go on 0-17. 0-16. I don't know how you give him 2 wins. Props to Tyrod Taylor. I don't think Tyrod Taylor's a bad quarterback, and I know Dre gonna have him right for them games, but I don't see him pulling it out. You mentioned somebody else being a walking Band-Aid. Is that not the definition of Will Fuller? So who Tyrod gonna be throwing to?
Will Fuller is in Miami now.
Oh, look, good guy.
Well, he does have another walking Band-Aid that he's going to be throwing to, Brandon Cooks.
Oh, yeah. And I don't have them winning a game. And, prayers to Matthew Craig as a native Houston fan. But, man, look, if Houston is able to win a game, I will wear a Tyrod Taylor jersey just for you, Matt. But and honestly, I have Jacksonville and Houston battling each other for the worst record, trying to see who can win a game. Because as good as Trevor is, I saw a few things in preseason that were, I won't say alarming, but definitely let me know, like, they ain't doing nothing this year. I feel like Urban may have had a little too much dip on his chip, and it didn't help that Travis Etienne is out for the year. That would have been a nice security blanket, especially with him and Trevor going to Clemson together. That's out the window.
When it comes to Urban Meyer, if I'm a Jaguars fan, I would strongly hope that he is on the phone week in and week out with the great Hall of Fame coach, Jimmy Johnson, because Jacksonville is in a very similar situation right now that Jimmy was in when he first went to Dallas. They're not all the way similar because, Jerry had just bought the team, fired Tom Landry, brought Jimmy in. No, Jacksonville didn't just fire an iconic head coach and just get a new owner last year. But as far as the roster goes and the turnover, yeah, they're in a bad situation right now. And the only way to go from here is up. And I would suggest that he's on the phone every week with somebody who has done this and has won it at the highest level that you can do it in a relatively short amount of time. No, go ahead. You froze up for a second.
Okay, sorry. What were you saying though?
I was just saying that I would recommend that Urban is on the phone every week with Jimmy Johnson so that he has somebody to lean on to get some advice from who has been in that similar situation and ended up finishing at the highest level that you can finish at, hoisting 2 back-to-back Vince Lombardi trophies, and he did it in a relatively short amount of time.
Yeah. So yeah, I really have Texans and Jaguars at the bottom of the league for that matter. Second place just by process of elimination goes to the Colts, although I don't see the Colts making much noise at all. I mean, I know First Take's been talking about it ample times. I've seen it on KJM in the mornings a lot. Carson Wentz is under an extreme amount of pressure. I mean, this could be the difference between you playing another a year in the NFL or going to Canada to play. So I have the Colts in second. And we talked about some hard divisions in the NFC. But is there a more lopsided division than the AFC South? I mean, I thought Tennessee could walk away this division by almost 5 or more games. I don't feel like it's even close. We talked about them as one of the best receiving rooms with A.J. Brown and Julio. I feel like, you got it's hard to argue that he's not the best running back in the league after last year. You got a top running back in Derrick Henry, who I don't know if it's been done before, but can he go for three consecutive 2,000 rushing yards? I mean, the way he trains, it's hard to say, nah, he can't do it. So if I had to point out a weakness in them, however, it's that defense. I feel like that defense is a rubber band. And you know what happens when a rubber band gets stretched one too many times? It snaps. And I'm just, somebody who's on their defense, I believe he's still there, that I'm just really disappointed. Kenny Vaccaro. I mean, at Texas, you would have thought he would have been the next great safety. And, I mean, it just never worked out for him in New Orleans. And he just bounced around, and he's at Tennessee. And, I mean, thankfully, he is a starting safety for them. But, man, I mean, he just has so much more potential. No, they don't still have Adoree. But for a minute, I mean, Tennessee did have Adoree Jackson. And he wasn't it for them either. So, I got Tennessee winning. I don't think – a matter of fact, I think this will be a year – I think you did say this. I think this will be a year that Julio reminds people like, bro, I can still be a top receiver in this league now. Like, don't confuse them last 2 years in Atlanta when I was hurt as my full package. So I'm looking for them to be a day because look, that RPO with Ryan, Derek, and then now Julio on the outside, that could cause some major issues come playoff time.
Well, I could see how it could be 5 or 6 games just simply because Indianapolis has injury issues right now. Like the season has not even officially started yet, and they've got some injury issues going on. And usually when you go into season limping, you do not get better as it goes on. But you're not going to be able to double Julio and then just single cover A.J. Brown. And you're not going to be able to double A.J. Brown and single cover Julio. Just by reputation, Julio will not be getting single covered anyway. And yeah, I believe this is a year he reminds everybody of just who he is, but I also believe it's the last season like that because he is getting up there in age. But yeah, I got the Titans winning this one, and sounds like you do too. Let's go over to the AFC East. It's going to be interesting to see where we fare out on this one because I got the Buffalo Bills winning this one with a 12-5 record. I think this is the year they do put it all together. I like the strides that they made in the offseason of improving that defense and adding more to that offensive line. Number 2, I got the Patriots, and I got them going 10-7. They're going to at least contend for a playoff spot. Don't know if they're going to get in yet. They're going to contend for it. And I say this with Matt Jones coming in as the rookie starter. He's got some new fresh weapons to throw to. Jonnu Smith. I like Hunter Henry if he can stay healthy. But this is a Patriots team I believe is really going to be running the football a lot, especially with Ramondre Stevenson, a back that they really like. And Bill Belichick in defense, this is his calling card. And it's not necessarily a COVID year. Dante Hightower's back in the fold. They added some more playmakers in the draft and in free agency. I got the Patriots going 10-7. Number 3, I got the Dolphins. I got them going a disappointing 8-9. And before this morning, maybe I would have had them at least a game better. But Tua's going into year 2, and he was not named a starter. That team's name has come up in rumors for wanting to trade for Deshaun Watson. So they obviously do not trust him long term. And if you don't trust your quarterback long term, you're going to have some issues. It's the fact that Zach Wilson is a rookie for me who has not taken a regular season snap and is going to be one of the Jets captains. And Tua, a second-year guy who's been in the quarterback's room for over a year now, and they didn't name him a starter. You know, as they said, as Joy Taylor and Colin Cowherd have said on the Herd multiple times, nothing is everything, but everything is something. And this is something right here for him to not be named the captain. And I got the Jets finishing 4th. I got them going 6-11, a little better than some people have them going. Listen, I know I said early on in the preseason that Zach Wilson was giving me Jamarcus Russell syndrome. I'm going to back off of that for right now because he improved from that point. Now we'll just let the season play out, and we'll see how things go. Hopefully Robert Saleh has a great first year as a head coach and at least can get the team to looking competent and bringing good football culture to the room.
Okay, so I feel like for this division, my guy, we pretty much shaking hands. I too got the Bills. I got the Bills winning it. The way Stephon Diggs stayed on the field and watched the Chiefs celebration of that AFC Championship game lets me know that he ready. He's ready. Josh took such an astounding leap that I feel like it accelerated their clock to where in their minds and in other minds, like not just in camp, but outside of camp, we believe we contenders. We can outscore y'all. And when you have that confidence, it's contagious. Man, their secondary might be one of my favorite secondaries to watch. although I don't believe in theirs, and like I've said multiple times to you guys, I don't believe in them individually. White, a couple other guys, I don't believe in them individually, but collectively, they just feed off one another. You ever seen someone that you meet and you just click with that person like automatically? That's how they are to me. I believe like my favorite, I believe his last name Johnson, came from a smaller school, just baller. Like the way that they click, they all got that dog mentality. They just give me something exciting to watch. And the way that they took on Baltimore, as electrifying and as star-studded as Lamar is, they looked at him as if though they wanted that challenge. They were praying for it. They were praying for it to be like no a healthy scratch because of COVID. They were praying no injuries to Hollywood or any of the. They wanted all the smoke. And as competitor, that's all you can ask for. So I love their secondary. They're one of my favorite secondaries to watch. So I definitely got Buffalo winning.
Bring up something about that defensive line real quick before you continue. We talk about these great pass rushers in the league, Myles Garrett, Aaron Donald, even though he's not what he used to be, J.J. Watt comes in there as well. Ed Oliver is somebody who flies under the radar. And I think this could end up being a breakout season for him on that defensive line.
So, second, agree with you again. I have the Patriots. And honestly, I'm disappointed in Cameron Newton. I'm disappointed because, you know, when you've had the career that he's had, it's easy for other people to go look at you coming into a new season like, oh yeah, he's a starter day one. And then you have somebody like Mac Jones, who, you know, when you look at him, and even through the draft process, although a lot of sports heads were saying like he could be like a top pick, a lot of people were talking like, bro, like, what are y'all talking about? Even before the season started, I don't believe Todd McShay even had him as a first round pick. So you look at stuff like that, and just this hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And although I'm not saying that Cam doesn't work hard, because I believe he is a hard worker, but I believe Cam has gotten comfortable and complacent with himself. And what kind of reassured me to that assumption is the fact that these last 2 days, there were rumors coming out of Patriots camp, like coming out of people from inside the building, that Mac Jones was teaching Cam the plays. How does that happen? I don't know. And I believe it was at that moment that Cam lost the job. Now, obviously, I feel like the real moment was when Cam tried to take that counterfeit test, that bootleg test, and they say, nah, bro, like that's not it. You gotta take a legalized standard test. And he had to step away for 5 days. Well, I believe it was on NFL Network. They were saying that in that 5 days, bro, Matt was getting up like 500 balls a day. You lost. People are saying that Mac is very smart. He's picking up. They're saying Mac trains goes over the plays with his girlfriend, like in his off time. So that kind of stuff's telling me all I need to know, that Mac's committed. This is the most money Belichick has ever spent in the offseason. In fact, they broke an NFL record. So I have New England second. I got Miami third. I believe in Tua. Although Miami doesn't. Look, Tua, if you're listening to this, when this gets to you, let you know I believe in you, my guy. Hopefully him and Jalen can spark some magic. And I think the thing that they need to realize is that they don't have to be perfect. You don't need to be perfect. Like, we're not expecting y'all to win a division. You just need to go out there and take it one game at a time and be the best you can be each day. If you could just get 1% better each day, you'll be there in the end. Because I can guarantee you, if you are third, you finish third in division, But say up to week 10, it's a competitive fight for that second spot, bro. You're not going nowhere, dog. You're not going nowhere. But you have to make them want to keep you. And fourth, I got the Jets. As good as they may have got, and as good as Zach Wilson may be, you don't go from as bad as they were to last year to getting that much better in a year. You don't. You don't.
Yeah, definitely some great points you made there. And to the Cam Newton point, I mean, yeah, like comfortable and complacent. Those are definitely the words to use right there. It's almost like he forgot for a second everything it took for him to even get the job in New England in the first place, just to even end up with that opportunity. So I'm hopeful that he can come back and redeem himself, but that's on him to want to do that for him. All right, now let's move over to the AFC North. I got the Cleveland Browns finishing number one overall. Got them going 11-6. A couple of weeks ago, I had them going 10-7. I got them going 11-6. The injury to J.K. Dobbins in Baltimore kind of swayed me a little on this one because that's a bigger loss than some people think. And I understand that they have Le'Veon Bell, who they brought into their practice squad, and they are expected to sign to their 53-man roster pretty soon. Le'Veon ain't been Le'Veon since he was a Pittsburgh Steeler, and it is what it is. Just call a buck a buck. But I got the Browns going 11-6. I got the Ravens finishing 10-7. That's still a very dynamic offense. Lamar Jackson is still one of the top quarterbacks in the league, and their defense is always going to present some type of issue. That's always been their calling card, going back to the Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs days. I got Pittsburgh finishing third at 8-9. That's right, my beloved Pittsburgh Steelers, who I think everybody probably thought, oh, he's definitely going to have his team first overall. No. I don't trust Ben. I know Ben looked good to some of you all in the preseason. Here's what I saw when I saw Ben. I saw what Drew Brees was his last 2 years in New Orleans. A lot of dink and dunk, a lot of pass and spread option, not a lot of throwing of the deep ball. And I think that's simply because that elbow and that arm is not what it used to be. I'm glad he finally decided to come into camp in shape, but it doesn't change the wear and tear that's already on his body. And I don't care how great a shape you get into. That elbow and that arm, that's not going to change. And Father Time is going to hit when Father Time is going to hit. I'm not even going to talk about that receiving corp of Juju Smith-Schuster and Chase Claypool and the nonsense that they have on TikTok. But I will talk about how TJ Watt, who was voted the 9th best player in the league by his peers on the NFL Network's top 100 players of 2021, is currently in a contract dispute with the team. And the last we heard was it's getting ugly and he may not play in week 1. So there's already a big problem coming out of there right now. The big upside going into this year is Najee Harris, a very promising running back. I believe he's going to be better than James Conner was for most of his time in Pittsburgh. James Conner had that 1 year in Pittsburgh where he was a breakout back. But once defenses finally figured him out, no, he wasn't that guy. So I believe they'll remain respectable for most of the year, but I think they finish at 8-9. And I got the Cincinnati Bengals finishing at a competitive 6-11. This is going to be a fun team to watch. I'm curious to see what Joe Burrow does when he comes back. They did not draft an offensive lineman with the number 5 overall pick like I thought they should have, but they did draft some linemen throughout the draft who flew a little under the radar that nobody's talking about. Jamar Chase, I'm confident that the issues he had in the preseason will get better throughout the course of the regular season. The reason I say that is because I do take into account that he did not play football last season at LSU. He sat out due to COVID reasons. But the last time we saw him on the field at LSU, he was out there with Justin Jefferson, and we didn't know which one of those two were better than each other at the time. And we saw what Justin Jefferson came into the league, and he was last year. And I'm just confident that as the season goes on, and you have him out there with T. Higgins, and you have him out there with Tyler Boyd, so everything's not going to be put on his shoulders at once anyway. I like Cincinnati, and I think there'll be a competitive 6-11. And I know that that's still a losing record, but compared to what they have looked like the past few years, that's a lot more respectful than I think a lot of people would probably rank them.
So this is another division that we agree on all the way to a T. Same like I said with Julio. It's about to be a year where Odell about to remind y'all. Odell about to come out here and remind y'all people. And Odell, when you see this, when this gets to you, let him know I told him first. I know you've been saying it for a minute, but just doubling down on what you're saying. To me, Odell's the best receiver in the league when healthy. There have been plenty of his peers that have taken that note too, that he's just different. And injuries have a way of slowing the body down like you would never see before. So I feel like Cleveland is just such a high potent offense that they can kill you so many different ways to where it's easy for somebody to lose track of Odell. You like you were saying, they got Jarvis, you got the tight ends, you got the running backs. Baker can get outside the pocket and get a little jiggy with it from time to time. I believe Keyshawn speaking on this morning or yesterday morning. This has to be a year where Myles Garrett has to take that next step. Myles Garrett needs to start getting them 20, 25 sacks. Like, we get it, bro. You can bench press a house. You can jump over the moon. We get all that intangible stuff. I need to start seeing that stuff translate on field. You need to stop all those only one time. You need to stop all this fighting and no, bro. Because there shouldn't be, when you look at the measurables, there shouldn't be no reason why Myles Garrett isn't having the production that TJ Watt's having. That's unexcusable. I believe that their secondary will be a lot better. A lot of them were hurt. A lot of them coming in healthy now. People like Greedy Williams. So I think Cleveland, although I feel like that AFC North, it's just dogfights year round. But I feel like Cleveland will pull it out. Second, I got Baltimore. Lord Jesus. I just don't know what their plan is. I know you had mentioned that for Philadelphia. I just don't know what Baltimore's plan is, because it's kind of like, yeah, they just extended Mark Andrews. That's good and all, but your first round wide receiver is hurt. And they talking about he's going to be out for a couple months with a shoulder injury. I don't see Hollywood being as effective as he should be. I still just see him as a deep threat, only a deep threat. And that defense, like you're saying, I feel like that defense is sturdy. It wouldn't hurt to get some fresh blood in there, but I feel like they're sturdy nonetheless. Third, I got Pittsburgh. I don't believe in Ben either. And just like, one salad doesn't make an obese person in shape, I don't feel like, one offseason of putting in work will have been ready and, back to MVP form. I do feel like Najee Harris will be the silver lining in the offense this year. The line is so terrible. It's kind of like, how many chances will he get? I feel like TJ I feel like TJ gonna have a chip on his shoulder because I feel like he's salty over that defensive player of the year, and he felt that was his. So I feel like he gonna come get that. And to the Cincinnati Bengals coming in fourth. I agree with you. I believe that they will be competitive, but I'm gonna need Jamar to get together. Like, yeah, bro, you sat out a year. You chose to do that though. Nobody forced you to do that. You chose to do that. So I need you to come to play. It would help, however, if you caught more balls and then put your hands on women as much. Because that's what's out there on the streets, that you putting your hands on women more than you catching balls. And we don't condone that type of behavior. So there's a lot of hype on your name. There's a lot of hype on Joey B's name. Just like the situation with Dallas, when it's kind of like if Dallas doesn't have a good year, the blame won't go to Dak Prescott at first. That's how I'm looking at Cincinnati. When Cincinnati has the year they had, even say Cincinnati only wins 2 games, the blame won't go to Joey B first. There are other places where the blame will go, but I still need Joey B to perform as if they could be competitive enough to get, say, to the playoffs.
Yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from right there. And yes, we do not condone the activity of men putting their hands on women or women putting their hands on men or anybody putting their hands on anybody. We just don't condone that type of activity at all. And now, last but not least, the AFC West. And this might end up being my first shocker. I thought long and hard about this. And we all know that Patrick Mahomes is my guy. He's my favorite quarterback in the league. But I got the Chargers finishing first in this division. I got the Chargers finishing first in this division with a 12-5 record. I believe Justin Herbert is the real deal. I don't believe he's going to have a sophomore slump. I believe this is a year that Mike Williams will finally put everything together and he will be healthy and he will be the complementary receiver needed to a Keenan Allen. They lost Hunter Henry in the offseason, but they have other complementary tight end talent there as well. Austin Eckler is coming back too. But more importantly on the defense, Derwin James is back. And I think some of y'all forgot that Derwin James was that dude before all of these injuries happened to him. And he looked good in training camp. He looked good in the preseason. And I know that they have a first-year head coach, but the fact that they're going in and there aren't nearly as many expectations on them as I thought that there probably would have been, they're going to come in flying a little under the radar to me. And I believe that they have a chance to really make some noise here. And I got them going 12-5 and winning the AFC West. Number 2, I got the Kansas City Chiefs going 11-6. I still believe in Mahomes. I still believe he's that guy. But I'm not so sure I believe in his offensive line. They did not look good in the preseason. And, hey, listen, maybe it's that they need time to gel. They need some time to become a unit. And when you have a head coach who's dried, shrewd, and proven like Andy Reid, that time will come. So I believe that they'll have a better second half of the season than they will the first half of the season. But I don't know if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is truly that guy for them at running back. And with the receiving court, you got Travis and you got Tyreek. But now that Sammy Watkins is out of the room, there's now more pressure on guys like Mecole Hardman. And defensively, there's Tyrann Mathieu. He's playing for a new contract. And after him, I'm not exactly sold on too much else. And there's pressure on the Chiefs. There's pressure on them to get back to the Super Bowl and prove that they can go out there and get it done again, just like they did 2 years ago. And even though I got them finishing second in the division, that doesn't mean that I don't have them going far in the playoffs. But I just believe they're going to have a rocky first half of the season simply because I think that offensive line is going to need some time to mesh together. Number 3, I got the Denver Broncos. I got the Broncos finishing at 9-8. I believe Teddy B is in a situation where he's a mistake-free quarterback for the most part. And Jerry Jeudy, I believe he's going to take a second. I think he's going to take that next leap this year as well, along with CeeDee Lamb. These guys from the previous draft class, I think they're going to start to really take that leap and become some of the top receivers in the game, Jerry Jeudy being one of them. And I really like their defense. Vaughn Miller's back. I don't know for how long, but he's back. Bradley Chubb is back. And Justin Simmons might be the most underrated defensive back in the game of football right now. We do not mention his name at all. And Patrick Surtain, the second, I'm just ready to see exactly what he's going to do. Big Fangio is on the hot seat, so I'm not so sure that a 9-8 record would save his job for sure. But Denver's got some pieces out there, and they've got the talent to get this done to make it look competitive. And number 4, I got the Las Vegas Raiders. Another failed year of the John Gruden experiment. I got them going 6-11. I don't know what to make out of that defense. They added Yannick Ngakoue, and they have Max Crosby. I don't know too much more that they have after that. And just simply, the Gruden experiment has been horrible when it comes down to the second half of the season. They have it together for the first half. They look like they're going to be that team. They're going to surprise some people. They're going to make the playoffs. And then after Thanksgiving for the past 3 years, they completely fall off. And I don't think it's going to be any different this year. And I say this with Darren Waller being a top 3 tight end in the league and Derek Carr being arguably the most underrated quarterback in the league. Because if you put Derek Carr in a situation like the New York Giants right now, I'm pretty sure Dallas Cowboy fans wouldn't be happy with that. So that's how I got the AFC West finishing out. I believe I said 12-5 for the Chargers, 11-6 for the Chiefs, 9-8 for the Broncos, 6-11 for the Raiders.
So, at first, I was eager to say Chiefs first for me. But after listening to what you were saying, kind of like second half is where I think the Chiefs will catch their second win and, just like take over from there. It's kind of how I view the Lakers in terms of like, I can see the Lakers getting a like 4 through 6 seed, but when the playoffs come on, bro, ain't nobody stopping us. So that's how I kind of see like Patrick Mahomes, especially with, the best tight end in the league, Travis Kelce.
You're entitled. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to mine. I think there's a man in San Francisco that's 17 games in. He's gonna put his name back up there as well.
That's fine. But only one of them got a ring. So, Justin Herbert. Can we just take a minute to just talk about all the teams that skipped over him and just passed, that are just kicking themselves? Because I remember when he decided to go back to Oregon for his senior year to graduate, and people were like, "Oh, bro, like you were gonna be this, you were gonna be number 1 overall pick, but now like and because of that year that Oregon had that year, you fell back." Man, he came in the league and still set him on fire. A lot of people should have been fired. If they haven't already been fired, look, y'all need to be fired for that. And shout out to my boy Jalen Guyton, from one of Allen High School alum. He's on the team. They just got weapons. Like you said, Mike Williams. Keenan Allen is one of the most underrated wide receivers in the National Football League. I mean, top 2 route runner. He might not be 2. He might not be 2. I mean, there's somebody in Green Bay that could make a good argument too, but Keenan Allen is dangerous. So I see San Diego with just a lot of youth on that defense, on the offense. So I could definitely see San Diego getting to an early jump on Kansas City. So I got them going 1, 2, 3. Man, you convinced me with Denver too. I am glad to see Vaughn back, because just like we talked about with Khalil Mack, I feel like, when Vaughn's healthy and he's ready to roll, he's one of the top linebackers as well in the league. So it'd be interesting to see him. Bradley Chubb looked good in preseason. I hope he can translate it over to, throughout the whole season. And you know what? I think after this year, I believe Jerry Jeudy will be a top 10 wide receiver. After this season, Jerry Jeudy will be a top 10 receiver. His routes are amazing as well. And then that leaves Las Vegas last. I was skeptical to put them third just because, if Keyshawn would have been on this call with us tonight, he would tell you that Derek Carr is one of the top quarterbacks in the league, and he's on par with them. I mean, he's been preaching that 3-4 days in a row now. I just don't see that. And just like Kirk Cousins, just like hate to say it, but just like Kyler Murray, like, bro, you gotta come show us now. Like, there's only so much your 40 time or your draft status or your college accolades will do for you now. Like, you gotta come show us that you belong with the big boys. And for no other reason than that, I got Las Vegas last.
All right, we were pretty much lockstep on our AFC picks for the most part there. So we'll leave it at there. You know, we'll be back later on in the season with our rankings to make for the postseason and our predictions there. Won't be very late into the season, but I'm at the point with this season going in to where I just want to see how these teams are going to look going in before I make those predictions officially on this show. So with that being said, you heard our picks. You heard them here. Let us know if you agree. Let us know if you don't. But I want to thank my brother for joining me here tonight. As always, it's a pleasure to have you onto the show. Pleasure to have you onto the platform and bring the perspective that you bring.
No problem, bro. Again, thanks for having me on here.
Definitely, for sure. And once again, guys, we're about to get out of here. But going back to what we said in the beginning, put those masks on, social distance, do what you got to do. Keep yourself safe. Keep your loved ones safe. Don't become a victim of this thing if you can help avoid it. There are no games that are being played here. We need to be diligent and we need to be responsible. So with that being said, I'm the X Factor Xavier McKnight. He's Lawrence Vaughn, and this has been Xtreme Sports, and we will see y'all when we see you.